Follow-up video to the previous one I've done. It's 1:47 in the afternoon, Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024. Shout out to Artists in Recovery and Reverend Ed Trevors and to the United States government and to everybody else, including President Joe Biden. Afternoon, Mr. President from Rosamond, California. Mr. President, we got to talk. We got to talk. You're going to get this one well afterwards, and you're going to be getting a plethora. Not for me, but for everybody else these days. TikTok, sir. TikTok. I'm not a user, but at one time or another I had been. I'm not a current user. I had been a current user of Instagram. I'm a current user of Facebook, and I'm a current user of YouTube. And believe me, they're pissed. They're pissed, Mr. President. I've been trying to get some sense made out of all the situation here regarding the TikTok and social media and anything else that's going to be affecting our country, sir. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming about the First Amendment. I already know that you being a lawyer at one time in your life, that you already know what the First Amendment has to say. And just for the record, I'm putting this on the record on my own channel, The Diary of a Griever named John Weaver. I encourage strongly for the security forces out there, for law enforcement forces out there, to investigate me. I'm giving carte blanche authorization. I know that the due process at this point over here. But if they want to take a look, go ahead. I'm trying not to be an insurrectionist or an insurgent or anything else of that matter. I value the Constitution, sir, because I am a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution, but I also believe in plurality as well. I've been trying to raise an issue with a lot of my people who watch the videos and also cross-linking them and being pissed off about the things we say and do, Mr. President. I'm going to be stretching your memory, so maybe your wife will be remembering this romantic comedy. The movie The American President with Michael Douglas in it, Martin Sheen in it, Annette Bening, Michael J. Fox. The famous speech that they had at the end of the film that Michael Douglas did, that's a basis of what I keep throwing out to people left and right because I believe in that one. And right now, we are so damn divided and divisive, it's not even funny. It's going to be affecting your election cycle, sir. There's a lot of people are going to be not voting for you because of this action, because of what TikTok means and stands for them. But I don't think they understand the larger implication of this one, sir. I don't think so. We don't want any foreign interference in our government. We had made that clear in the Federalist Papers. We made that clear in our Constitution's creating. But the problem is we already had influence since our conception or even prior to that. There's no way to get past it. Indirect influence. We're looking for direct influence. And this is what I understand why the bill got signed. Of course, you could have let it die. Just not signed a thing. But this is what's necessary, isn't it? We want the aid to Ukraine. We want the aid to Taiwan. We want the aid happening for those suffering in Israel right now. Those are important. Those are priority. I understand that, sir. But when they attacked on the TikTok thing, they should have had that separated. That should have been debated more on that one. First Amendment rights would allow me to go up to the Capitol or maybe outside the White House and put up a sign, scream at the top of my head how much I am displeased about this one. I am letting an official know about my displeasure of the decision. For a knee-jerk reaction. For a knee-jerk reaction, sir. We don't want the influence of foreign powers meddling in our own damn thought processes or into us. We don't like that. We also don't like having a foreign government trying to use bots to influence us. But for our election cycles, while we're using the internet for the past, I think, 20 or more years, ever since we had the internet, we've been having the bots. We just hadn't recognized them as much. Now we do. We are so dependent upon the private entities, Mr. President, for our platforms for freedom of speech. And I don't think people understand this. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a guy going through a community college. I'm at the age of 58 years old right now. Next year I'll be 59. I've been in a community college for nearly 10 years. My channel tells you history about me. Short-terming it, let's face it, I've had health issues. I know what death is like at the age of 4 years old. It screws me up left and right. Been there, done that. I've also lived through a lot of events throughout my life and trying to understand the political process. I wasn't a very good student. Grades kind of sucked in college. But 30 years working force and just watching life and watching news and seeing how everything else is going on. I have to. I had to. I had to understand what was going on. My mother, God rest her soul and God bless her soul. Two you see over my shoulder in the cabinet. My mother back in 2013, my brother back in 2018. I was caregiver to both of them. I also understand about grief. Main reason why I do my channel. But these days it's becoming more and more of a political hotbed. My channel is basically about grieving, mourning, humanity, and human emotions and dealing with it. Long stories. A lot of videos. Let the DOJ have fun with me. Let the FBI and the CIA and anybody else, maybe NSA will have fun with me. But getting back to our topic about TikTok, sir, I'm not going to touch about anything else but the TikTok right now because everything else is also a political hotbed. I'm not getting into it just yet, but that Pandora's box has already been cracked open a little bit right there. So, Mr. President, I wish we had the time necessary for them to pass the law or a better law regarding TikTok and about the social media platforms. We've had the chances throughout the decades and we kept blowing it. Ever since we had the booming of the social media platforms out there, allowing people to do their speeches, they had terms and conditions where people keep forgetting that they are subject to the private matters and how we look at the social media structure. We've lost the chance of having social media being put under businesses and under corporations. Remember what happened in the telecommunication issues and the deregulations back in the 80s? We had the big telecos. We had the big mama bell. Made the big baby bells after dereg. Yeah, I remember that one. I remember all the insanity happening after that. Ew. I'd rather not repeat that thing. But we've got it here. If we make the big telecos at this point over here, we need deregs to put them back in their smaller places at this point. But we still would need government oversight on these guys. We don't have it. Nobody's been wanting it. We've been dealing with the Biden show left and right. We've been dealing with all this damn political head games left and right. This particular part of your presidency is not going to go down very well. But at least you're allowed another shot if you actually wanted to run for it again. But I'm not quite sure if you wanted to. But this shot that you're trying to go for the next term, I'm still voting for you. I know there's a hell of a lot of other people out there going to be looking at you with betrayal. You ever read the Shakespearean story about Caesar? I only remember the last portion of it. All the advisors and friends of Caesar. I wish I could have been reading the whole thing. I could understand more and more of the betrayal, why they did it in the first place. But all I know at the end, if Caesar was that really much of a rotten person at that point, was it necessary for them to do it? Got betrayed that heavily. It's like going back into the biblical situation over there and seeing Judas betray Christ with a kiss. Judas was already conflicted enough as it is, and now he had to betray him for pieces of silver at this point. It's a hell of a thing to think about, I'll tell you that much. Depressing as hell. How do you think the people in social media are feeling right now in the first place? Even after they heard about the TikTok thing. What I hadn't seen, Mr. President, what I hadn't seen, sir, where was the damn protests? If people were going that crazy over the damn thing, it wasn't physical that they were protesting. They were using a digital domain on this one. And they still are, one way or another. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to relay my feelings about the situation. I'm conflicted as hell. I'm a student out of college. I'm supposed to have an English literature degree coming up, but sometimes I flip-flop with either political science, which is making me sick to my stomach even more so, or history, always making me sick to my stomach. Only because I'm seeing what real life is happening these days and how the influences are happening. My brother would have been a history professor, history person you wanted to talk to about things. My mother, she was a bookkeeper. And had her own business for a long while, but then got sick, ill, and slowly faded. Too many videos on that one. Too many wind files. And now I got to be the one bearing the torch and memories and everything else talking about things like that. It's the discussions my mother and I would have concerning about politics and politicians and everything else. We'd watch it every Sunday. We'd read the papers. We'd listen. We'd watch. I'm not quite sure about these days, Mr. President. I'm just officially saying that I have an issue with this ban, and I'm trying to see the bigger picture, larger than I've seen so far. I'm surprised my brain hasn't exploded in my skull yet on this one. But then again, I'm starting to see more of the ramifications, and I think everyone else's brains have basically blown in their brains on this one, vice versa on that one. Because the implications at this point, Mr. President, is large. If we did not if we did not divest, if we did not dissuade China to separate TikTok, if we did not have this bill, things would go on. What we're afraid of is election interference, and we've already got it beforehand. They got our number. Maybe this is one way to solve more and more of it. I'm not happy with Russia and China at this point over here because they are our political enemies. What's afraid of I'm facing here concerning about our own future in our country. Are we going to be losing all of our civil liberties, our ideas and our idealisms concerning about what we thought America was? Pluralism going downhill. It scares me to live in this kind of century, in this kind of time zone right now. And it scares me for putting up videos like this publicly to let people know what was going on. I have someone I know, actually other people I know online, that are pissed. It's not the economics. Probably also thinking about how the government's cracking down on the freedom. Are we turning into a banana republic right now as it is, Mr. President? I'm expecting, and I'm hoping, that the government will do a complete scrubbing on me. Why? I may have things I may not like I've done in my life. Maybe they're not public, but I try to make them as public as possible. I try to be as accountable, transparent, and responsible. But the thing is, what I don't like is the government going to a point where they're going to be saying, okay, that's it. Since I know everything about you, you're under arrest for treason and sedition. If that's the case, then so be it. It would mean that I would be planning and plotting an overthrow of the government. It would mean that I am in cahoots with other people ready to toss the government. And the problem is, I'm seeing the government do that for me. We've got politicians who are doing that, state and fed. I hate to say it, Mr. President, but the old Congress, the old Senate, the lifers, they're running, they're hiding, and they're going away. And that's just by votes, by their own violations. Because they're saying the young pups that we have in here, the younger generations, who think they know better. They don't have the traditions, they don't have the thought patterns, they don't have the life experiences, the events that we've all experienced and shared and lived through. What I'm afraid of is a change of government at this point over here into something I don't even recognize anymore. That's what makes me afraid. And I'm not quite sure if we're going to be going into an autocratic society or not. You got a 45th orange gas bag going through many courts right now. I don't dare use this guy's name. He's disgusting as it is. I don't even know how the hell he made it to 2016. I really don't understand that one, but he did. And now he thinks he can do it. He can do it again. I'm not raising up that. I am not allowed to use cursive words or that kind of salty language. Not in my nature, Mr. President. If the system works, if the people vote, if they said that he's going to be it. Unfortunately, I'm still American enough to support my flag, my U.S. Constitution, left and right, and my God. God first. But I am not supporting an orange gas bag. If by some miracle, and I hope we have one, you get in office, the next 4 years are going to be tumultuous anyway. They're going to be nuts. Because we'll still have the Israeli situation happening long term. Ukraine's still going to be going on. North Korea still wants your attention one way or another. China, that should have been at the top of the list, is going to be a major contender that we're going to be dealing with. And then there's Africa. Africa hasn't greatly affected us yet, or directly affected us yet. Not yet, anyway. There'll be other politicians out there worrying about the southern border all the time. Yeah, but, Mr. President, what about the northern border? There had been stories I'm coming across on the internet about them. People get flown over the United States into Canada, dropped off, and snuck into the United States. If they can't get it through the Mexican way, they'll get it over the Canadian area. So, how's your current relationships with the Prime Minister? People aren't affected by a larger border that we've got over there. What I'm surprised at, was all these lunatics and fringes going crazy at this point. I'm surprised they haven't enclosed us entirely into a wall. Remember the movie Escape from New York and Escape from Los Angeles? How's that for a dystopian government system? That's another thing to be rattled. But then again, us citizens don't even think about that one. Only very few people will get the references. And if they did, I'd be kind of surprised, Mr. President. Meanwhile, back in the rancho in Roseman, California, which is the former home of Kevin McCarthy, we've got another guy coming through the pipeline who's another McCarthy. So he's going to be taking over Kern County. And we got to vote the person in. I was going to say something rotten about that one. But at least he won't be Speaker of the House. And what happens if we get Marjorie Taylor Greene in there for them? I wouldn't put it past that lunatic. I'm surprised she wouldn't get the votes. She'll never get the votes. She'll never get the votes at this rate. Even her own kind doesn't like her very much. Too fringe. Way too fringe. That being said, Mr. President, I hope you can sleep well at night. Because sometimes thoughts like these wake me up in the middle of the night, or other times I'm getting the acid reflux and upset stomach when I'm watching all this stuff online, and I'm asking myself, what the hell are we getting ourselves into, Mr. President? I'll send another letter when I can. As I said before, I invite the DOJ to have fun with me and the FBI. My door's right there. They want to come in and knock, be my guest. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, public record, I am under therapy. All you have to do is watch the videos to find out why. Have a good night.